when it's charging for your time and your expertise, how do you put that in a figure? Often as a woman, where our time is already undervalued, it can be really difficult to communicate that. A lot of times people say, oh, you're too expensive, or you charge how much? I started wearing the hijab about 2 years ago. That's given me even more of a, people are very uncertain about me. For the general public, where people don't necessarily know my experience, it's given another layer of she can't know what she's talking about. If I'm running a home barista course and then they come in and see that I'm the one teaching, it's kind of like a look of like, oh really? And then it's kind of the assumption of what have I just paid for? I already probably know more than her because I've watched so many videos on YouTube. I hate to say it, like a white man that was running the course, that was maybe someone who looked like the people you've learnt from on YouTube. Straight away, you'd be engaged and you'd want to learn about the class. You'd be like, oh, what can I get from this person? You wouldn't be like, oh, let me show them that I know more than them. Funnily enough, by the end of the class, they'll realize how much I know and how much they love the class. And then suddenly I've earned their respect. That imposter syndrome of like, oh my gosh, am I even good at this? Because these experiences, we laugh and joke how tough it is to be in the industry as a woman, the experience of me wearing the scarf. But the reality is they do chip away at your confidence as well. Slowly, you think, oh no, like, am I actually good at this?
Esther, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me and asking me to be involved in this. I'm really excited.
I'm more excited. I'm in Bridgend for the first time, which is great.
Middle of nowhere. Beautiful fields. Random industrial estates. What more do you want?
Absolutely. Here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are.
The glamorous side of the coffee industry.
Very glamorous. Absolutely. Yes. We actually, I feel like I have like a bit of a, for myself, inspirational story about how we met. I don't think I've actually ever told you like all of this before, but the first time we met was when you were running a SEA intermediate sensory training course, which I was on with a company that I used to work for. And I don't actually know if I've told you this before, but I feel like that was a bit of a time in my life and in my career especially. I wasn't sure if coffee was for me. And I was at this kind of like weird place of being like, felt like I was bumbling around a little bit, you know, like what you do. And I saw you at that training session. I actually hadn't run into many women so far in my coffee journey. Like I'd only just been out of being a barista. And I was like, whoa. Like genuinely, I was like, this woman, she's got it all going on. And I was like, the way that you were like teaching and doing the training session, like genuinely I was, just like pretty blown away. And I don't think I've told you that before.
No, I didn't. Like, obviously I knew that we did that, but I didn't realize I had an impact on you then. That was like during COVID as well, when we were all just like scrambling. And I had just started up Hope Espresso, really. Literally. And it was like one of the first training sessions that I'd done. I'd
have never known.
Like, well, not ever, but like, you know, during that kind of settings.
Absolutely.
And doing the sensory training. And it was so mismatched. Like, we were in the basement of some
in
shop
Leicester.
In Leicester. Like, we were laughing this morning because my car handbrake had snapped off on the morning that I arrived to do the training. So my car was like hopefully in first gear somewhere, and I wasn't sure whether it was going to roll away or not. Like,
honestly,
so I'm glad that you didn't just think I was a chaotic mess and be like, why is this woman teaching us?
I genuinely like remember you saying about your handbrake, and I was like, oh my God, like I cannot believe you've just still like you've turned up. This is still happening. You're absolutely fine. You look so calm and in control, commanding the room. And I was like, if my handbrake had just snapped off, I'd be an absolute mess. So, like, yeah, congrats for being great.
That's actually like made me feel a little bit emotional. Thank you for saying it, because genuinely half the time I really don't know what I'm doing. So,
but do you know what? I feel like knowing that about other people who you know, like at that time as well, like I think it's important to like even just acknowledge, like I was like overwhelmed by being in awe of you, but I was also like, it was like a little bit intimidating, like when you don't know what you're doing yourself, and then you see someone else who it feels like, oh, they've got it all figured out, like they're on this like really great trajectory of having their own business and like all of this stuff. And it's good to actually acknowledge like it's not how it felt for me at all.
Yeah, my half I was like going away like, oh my god, people actually paid me for that, like, oh, I'm cringing.
No, it was great.
So
it was great.
But I feel like that's genuinely just the imposter syndrome in the industry as well, isn't it? Especially if we don't communicate with each other and give each other feedback. It's like nobody actually knows if they're doing a good job, because it's so easy to think about criticism and like at the end of the day go home and think, oh my god, I could have done X, Y and Z better, la 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 la. But actually taking the time to tell people, actually you've done a really good job here, and that's what recently I've been trying to do. That there was recently, you know, Beth from Coffee Net.
Yep.
I've heard so many great things about Beth recently, and like she looks after customers so well. She did me a massive favor the other week in getting me some coffee last minute, and I thought, do you know what, rather than just talk behind her back, I'm just gonna drop her a message and be like, Beth, do you know what, people are saying really good things about you, like you are doing a really great job, because we don't take the time to do that.
We need to hear it.
Yes.
We need to hear it. Tell someone that you think they're doing great. Yeah, exactly.
Everybody message someone who you appreciate and tell them they're doing a good job.
Do it now. No, but I feel like I always think about, I need to do that on a regular basis, and then you just like life gets away with you, and but you have spent half of your life now?
Yeah.
Is it half?
I started when I was 14, and now I'm 30. So
more than half your life.
My life now, in the industry.
Does it feel like you've put in 16 years of?
It's a weird one, because it's like when I think I've been in this industry for 16 years, I think because I've grown up in this industry, it's like I don't know anything else. So it doesn't feel like I've been here for 16 years. I'm still learning everything as if I've just joined the industry, in the same way that then I look back at me being like a baby barista and cringe at how I used to make coffee.
But you have to start somewhere.
And you have to start somewhere.
And you started in
Plymouth.
In Debenhams, actually.
Sorry. That was my first job in Plymouth and Debenhams.
Sorry.
But that was retail.
Okay, because you were folding clothes.
I was folding clothes.
And was like, this is not doing it for me.
And I think we spoke before, and I said, like, I feel like people are either hospitality or retail. That's very general, but like I was folding children's clothes in Debenhams, and it was so miserable. Like the shifts just dragged and dragged and dragged. Like I did not like it one little bit. But then when I started working in coffee, in hospitality, the buzz, the busyness of it, I absolutely loved, and I thrived off it. Like, and I even did a little stint back in Claire's for a while, for 2 months. And again, I couldn't handle it. Like retail it did not suit my personality. Whereas my younger brother, he worked in like Papa John's and hated it. But then he worked in retail in like Jones the Bootmakers, and he would come home with all these stories about all this great time he'd had at work. And I was like, we are very different people.
What is it about coffee that you think works with your brain? I
think it's the fast pace. Like, you know, when you're working in a cafe and working with a big group of people, there was always something you had to be doing. And it was just like fast pace, hustle and bustle. And the time would fly. Like my shifts would just be like gone. And I'd enjoy them. It wasn't like it was quick because it was stressful and I'd get home and cry. It was like enjoyable.
A few years after Debenhams, or while you were there, kind of, you kind of realised this interest or passion for human rights.
Yeah. So
how did that progress?
So after I left Debenhams and I was working in like a independent cafe. And at the same time, I learned about like human trafficking, and I'd always been interested in things like fair trade as well. But I realized, or I learned, that there was like thousands, I think at the time it was like 30,000 plus people were being trafficked in the UK alone, and then globally it was like millions. And I was like, oh my God, I want to do something about it. There was something that sparked in me that I was like, this is an issue that I want to invest my life in doing something about it.
Yeah.
And I think I went to London for a trip, and I was going through Soho, and I realized there's a big industry, like sex industry in Soho. And I realized, you know, when a lot of these women aren't choosing to go into this industry, but when they come out of it, if they've had like 10 years of being trafficked on their CV or something like that, what do you then, you don't want to put that on your CV to apply for a job, but how do you explain what you've done before? And so I was like, I would love to set up a cafe that trains up survivors of modern slavery and human trafficking to help them get back into work, give them skills and experience. And so then I just kind of put my blinkers on, and it was all I cared about. I was like, I need to learn everything there is to know about coffee and everything there is to know about human trafficking. So
how did you do both of those things? Were you doing them simultaneously, like at the same time?
It was like, you know, in my free time, I would learn, because obviously I'm still at school at this point. So in my free time, I would learn about like human trafficking, go to events, like charity things, try and raise money for human trafficking organizations, anti-human trafficking organizations.
Yep, just to make that clear. Yeah, just in case anyone misquotes anything from here.
Oh God. So yeah, I was like learning about that, and then I was trying to learn things about coffee at the same time. And when I was 18, I went to Cambodia and worked with the Cambodian Hope organization, and they had a coffee shop there that literally did that to like prevent human trafficking and help women who had been trafficked. They had a cafe which employed women and taught them the skills to run their own businesses and things. So I went there, and then my mum's like, you've got to get a degree. Love you, mum, if you're listening. And so I was like, I ended up doing anthropology and cultural studies, because I thought if I can learn about people, maybe then I can run a business better. Sure. And in my summer, then I would go to America, and I worked for Fair Trade USA, and I worked with like a organization in San Francisco that worked with vulnerable women as well. So I was like trying to use everything to kind of get as much experience and knowledge to then implement it into what I imagined would be this amazing cafe one day. Yeah.
Yes. And before I move on to what happened to cafe, etc., just to say it's so cool to see your kind of sense of direction, especially at that age as well. Like, yeah. I don't think that's
now
like
it's
the
been
norm.
Diagnosed as ADHD.
Okay.
At the time, I think I was just so determined, and it was like, you know, your kind of North Star, what you kind of work towards.
Right.
That for me was like, yeah, this is purpose.
Yeah.
Like surrounded by something that I also enjoy, which was coffee.
But also like ADHD can definitely be in some ways like paralyzing for people in terms of like which direction am I going, and you know, so for you to be harnessing it and using it as a superpower. I mean, shout out to my parents who probably helped me and nurtured me well to kind of navigate that. But I think like once you find that thing, and like people say, oh, you're hyper focused on something, like it can give you a way to accelerate yourself miles ahead of other people, just because you found that thing you're interested in. Yeah, and you've got that drive. Some days I don't even want to get out of bed. Okay. Don't get me wrong. Good to highlight that.
It's like that for me was like, you know what? I can really see myself making an impact through this. Absolutely. And giving my life purpose. And so it just kind of drove me. And don't get me wrong, it came with hard work as well. Like the years that I was at uni, I had 2 jobs. So one of them I was working in a cafe, and then the other one I was in a bubble tea cafe.
Wow.
So for me, it was like the university degree, I just did it as a stepping stone. And it was only 6 hours in classroom every week, and the rest of it was supposed to read books. Now that was not, it didn't work for me. So I got my degree, but but it wasn't my priority.
But you're still working towards this North Star, as you say, which at the time was a cafe.
Yes.
Please tell us more about how that...
So then when I left uni, my parents had just moved to Cardiff. They were moving around quite a bit. And so I was like, okay, I'll come to Cardiff. Might be here for a few months. And then I'll do something else. I thought I was going to be an international jet setter, as I have many times, and it's never worked out. So I got a job in a bubble tea cafe when I came to Cardiff, just to keep myself busy. And then I started to attend events about human trafficking and different things around, again, still focused on that like North Star.
Mm.
And then I met someone and they were like, oh, like I said about I wanted to set up this cafe to work with survivors of human trafficking. They were like, oh, have you met Nick and Di? And I was like, no, who's that? And they were like, they want to set up a business about coffee for survivors of human trafficking. And I was like, no. This has got to be a joke. Like, no way.
And this was just at like a charity event. It wasn't anything to do with coffee.
No, it was like a charity, I think Christian organization.
Okay.
And then it was like someone had said, oh yeah, these guys want to set up this business. And I was like, let's open up the conversation. And then ended up being Manumit Coffee Roasters, which is still running now. And it's a roastery that hires survivors of modern slavery and human trafficking. And although it wasn't a cafe, there was a logic behind it, because it was like people who have been through human trafficking, there's a lot of like trauma, there's a lot of like nervousness around work. And so actually to have people in a customer facing environment, we all know how stressful it actually is working in the cafe. There's nothing cute about working in a cafe.
No.
You don't want to be in the middle of a rush and then have someone ordering an extra hot half shot decaf, like skinny vanilla latte or something, and then be like, oh, so where were you trafficked from then? Or like, and I kind of learned more and more about the importance of like best practice running an organization that works with vulnerable people, because you don't want to share the stories of people and be like, oh, this is Doris, she was trafficked when she was 19 and this is the horrendous story she went through, and have her picture and then slap it on Google. Because if she goes on to have a life, have children, have like build her own career, and then someone Googles her name, and then they'll be like, oh, Doris, you're on YouTube and it says here you got this, that and the other. I went through all this trauma. Like, there's no dignity in doing that. It's not our story to share.
No.
So by having a roastery, it was like the roastery address has never been shared online, and you wouldn't just be able to roll up there. So it protects the identity of the survivors, because some of them, they still have police cases ongoing. Their traffickers might be still looking for them. So it was really important to have a space where they could come to work and no one would know where they are. But also it wasn't customer facing, so they could learn like the soft skills and the more important skills of getting back into the workplace again and actually enjoying work and not feeling that stress and that pressure. So we decided on a nice little roastery.
Incredible.
In Cardiff, and
it still exists.
It's still going today, and they've helped like countless number of survivors. And we were doing like SCA barista training for them to help them develop their CVs, working, and we could reach more survivors by that way, because there's there's not enough business to be able to hire 1,000 survivors and have them in the roastery and give them the respect and dignity and career path that they want. So it was like a small roastery, hiring people, made the packaging super complicated so that we could have more manual labor involved in like packaging and labeling it. And it was really nice because it kind of, a lot of social enterprises do like a one size fits all, where it's like someone comes in, they follow a plan, and then they're out on their own after 6 months or a year. But because it was small, we were able to kind of tailor it to every survivor that came into the roastery based on their needs, based on their experiences. Some people would come and work for 3 months and then they'd be confident and ready to get a job somewhere else. Other people, it would be like 2 years plus, and then they would still need extra support after that. And it was tailoring it to that. And along the way as well, it was like if they discovered they wanted to have a career in business, for example, we could introduce them to other parts of the business, not just roasting and packing, to help them gain experience to build their CV. Because in running a roastery, it takes more than just coffee people.
Of course,
to run,
yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It sounds like I'm just putting it lightly, but you made your dreams come true there.
I know.
Essentially.
Sometimes, you know, when you like detach yourself from it and you're like, when I look back, I'm like, yeah, actually, wow, all of that work came together and it was executed, and it's still successfully running now. If you want to buy some coffee, go and test out Manumit Coffee.
Manumit
Little
Coffee.
plug there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That genuinely is changing people's lives for the better. And I'm still in touch with a lot of the survivors today.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So where do you go from there when you've made your dreams come true that you've been working for since you realized that this is what you're passionate about?
Yeah.
What happens next?
And it's not like, in some ways, I don't want it to be like anticlimactic that it happened and then it was like, okay, that's done now. Like, it got to a point where as I was doing it, I was building up my network of across the coffee industry as well. I was introduced to the lovely Emma Haynes, who helped me to train to be an SCA trainer. And then as time went on, the roastery became more self-sustaining, and I realized that it didn't actually need me. And I think that's another important lesson, is to learn like that not everything is forever. Like there is a time where it's like, you know what, that doesn't actually need my input anymore, and I can step back from it and almost take your pride out of it, to be like, it's not that is not about me. And
you've set it up, it's happening, and it's like it's running itself. Like it's going, like you, like you just said before, you're thinking okay, what can I do? Probably a little bit ADHD as well, maybe. Like, what can I do next?
And that was it. I think like Nick and Di, who still run Manumit now, they were doing such a good job as well at the other side of it, and I was like ready to take over the world. And I think because they had other jobs, and like one of them, he was a I don't know what he would say, vicar, priest, pastor in a church, so he had like other responsibilities. So I was there, I'm ready to make this global. And they were like, no. I think it's like better to keep it sustained.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, cool, no problem. In that case, I took myself off company's house, and I had built a good kind of network. I was working a lot with like Dan Tamang in Winchester, and he had some work booked. He just had a kid, and he had some work booked, and he was like, Esther, I don't think I'm gonna. Oh,
wow,
just
that was okay. Fine, no worries. We'll carry on.
You needed to hear that point.
Danny there.
Yeah, literally, he's gonna pop out of the thing now.
Can I just say as well, Dan Tamang, I think we actually met in a lift recently, and I got too freaked out to introduce myself, but in terms of people I speak to, either for this project or for panels that I've done, he gets cited, he gets like mentioned as like an influence and like a big like helping hand from so many people.
Honestly,
like this guy.
I have probably thousands of stories I could tell about him. Genuinely very, very good heart, and very, very encouraging. And you know when people just are happy to see you do well, Like even after when I was like stepping away from Manumit, I was starting to apply for other jobs, and it's Dan who called me, and he was like, why the hell are you going to that interview? Like, you need to do your own thing. Don't go back and work for someone else.
Really?
Like, keep pushing forwards. Like, and I, at the time I was like, oh, I don't know, it's going to be hard, blah, blah, blah. And I think his encouragement helped me to kind of push through and be like, do you know what? I need to build something for myself here. And he does see potential in people and help you to bring the best of yourself out.
That's what we need.
Not just in latte art, in general.
Yeah.
Like in your whole, and he gives good business advice. So
you
I feel like
heard it
I
here
don't want to make his
first.
head any bigger, but he does give very good business advice.
It sounds like he deserves it to me.
Yeah, he
of
does.
course,
He
absolutely.
does.
Credit where credit's due. As we said at the start.
Exactly. So Dan, if you're listening as well, big shout out to you. But so he had contacted me and said, like, look, I've got this training. I'm not going to do it. Do you want to jump in? And so I had like flights booked to like Indonesia to go and do training. I was going to Poland to do some work with Raf, who's also been a great help in my career. And like I had flights booked to Paris. It was like Russia and places like Dubai. And I was thinking, I've made it. You know what? Like, I'm good.
So this was all for like
Coffee training.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah,
like barista
great.
training mainly.
Yeah.
And
you've got the high flying thing that you were dreaming of. So
I was like, again, I'm going to be a jet setter.
Oh,
here we
yeah.
go. The time is now. And then I went out to Poland, was doing some work with Raf at his coffee school in Warsaw, and then COVID hit. And it hit bad. Like, it was like, you know, phone call, like, you need to get on the flight back to London tonight. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in Poland.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, my God. So I flew back to the UK. And then, obviously, everything else, cancel. And I was like, okay, great. Side note to this, I had just moved into a house by myself, renting. But because I thought I was going to be living this baller lifestyle, I was like, you know what? I can have this nice house. It was like my own 1-bedroom place, like furnished really nicely. I was like, this is going to be great. And then I had no income. I hadn't set up as a limited company, so I couldn't claim anything from the government for like business.
No.
And I hadn't been like self-employed before. I'd been on the payroll, so I hadn't been self-employed to be like, here's what I earned last year, please give me the money. So I literally just was like diddly squat.
No furlough, no grants, no nothing.
No.
Yeah.
And I had all these bills coming in, and I was like, oh no.
I mean,
like, what am I going to do?
In an impossible situation.
Yeah.
I'm on the edge of my seat. What
Sink
did you
or
do?
swim. I mean, from there, it was literally, that's where Hope Espresso was born.
Right.
And it was kind of a case of, I sat down and I was like, okay, how can I bring income in?
Yeah.
And so I started reaching out to roasteries around the area and being like, look, if you need a barista trainer to come in and train your wholesale customers, or dial in a machine when you are installing it to make sure your coffee's tasting good, I'll put your t-shirt on and I'll go in and I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
And then it just started off like that, trickle. And then it's built up, and now, I don't know, I think I've just completed my 5th year of accounts for Hope Espresso, and I'm still doing it today.
And that is essentially something that was born out of COVID and a situation of being like, what the hell am I going to do?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, how did you just keep like pushing through at that time?
I think it was like fight or flight, sink or swim. Like, I was like, I don't want to lose what I had in terms of like reaching that point in my life where I was living on my own and everything. I was like, I just need to keep going. And it's that kind of thing. I mean, I read a lot of books as well that were like those probably cringe ones that's like 10x your life, where it's like, if you want to make 100k, like aim for 1 million, and then you'll succeed your original goal. And so it was like, if you're gonna try and get 3 customers, reach out to 30 customers and you might get 3.
Right.
So
okay.
I had to, probably if you watched like a reel of my life at that time, I really, really fought hard to try and build up a customer base and put myself out there. Thankfully, I haven't gone under just yet.
Look, if you're here after making it through all that absolute madness, then of course. Which is also how we met, which is one of those trainings that you were doing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That was one of those ones in COVID where I was like, okay, we'll make it work.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can get away with it if we do X, Y, and Z. I'll drive down, got my toolkit in the car, so if anyone pulls me over, I'm on the way to fix an emergency machine. Let's go.
Yeah, I think actually, genuinely, it was one of the first times I was like around people again, actually, after COVID. Like, I actually didn't think about that, but that was, it was what we weren't doing anything. Not
it
right, but
no.
it was as we were just coming out of that. Such a weird time.
It was literally just as things were opening back up again. We're all masked up still, like doing the cupping where you go from one spoon to the next spoon to slurp it.
Oh, that was really interesting to get a hang of.
We don't have to do that anymore. Although, actually, probably we should be doing it anyway.
We should be doing it anyway. Yeah.
Hygiene levels.
Yeah, but also like the hand-eye coordination of doing that thing. Oh, and when we were doing it like all day for like 2 days. Yeah.
It's not the one.
Yes, but necessary. Very necessary.
Yeah.
So training is like a really big part of what you do.
Yeah.
At Hope Espresso. So you're going into roasteries, cafes, homes as well?
Yeah, I do like a lot of home barista training. That's more, I don't really go to people's houses, but more like at a location. And
people are coming to you.
Come to me, yeah.
In terms of like home baristas versus someone who's doing it for work, like what's the difference of how you're sort of like perceived as a trainer?
So it's really interesting actually, because I feel like it's been a struggle, like as a woman, pushing myself as a coffee consultant. I don't even like that word. Because I feel like it has negative connotations to it. Like I've twisted my job title, self-appointed.
What is it? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
To like project manager and coffee solutions, because it's a bit more distinct, and it's not me trying to say, oh, I'm a consultant, because I feel like people have thrown about that word a lot in the industry,
right,
without much like meat behind it. And then it's like when people say, oh, I'm a consultant, it's kind of like, oh, she thinks she knows what she's talking about. Like, oh yeah, she's a consultant, she charges you a lot of money and then doesn't give you very good advice. Like, that's the vibe that I get from consultant. Whereas ironically, it's easier for a man to come in and be like, I'm a consultant. Like, doesn't necessarily have to have all the experience that someone else does, but oh no, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I'll just create a website and say I'm a consultant.
Right.
And then,
like,
that sounds like I'm really digging at people, but
no,
I don't have anyone specific in mind. I just want to clarify that up. But just in general, sometimes you'll see people have consultant on their thing. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily mean anything. And so it's not a good way to describe yourself, especially as a woman, when you're already on the back foot.
Yeah, there's so many studies that show that, you know, women just actually have to prove themselves more in those situations. Yeah. Like, we're not taken as authoritative kind of figures, and like, you know, unconscious bias kind of shows, you're not going to maybe associate women so much with those kind of roles. That's not our perception. That's actually proven.
And I think like charging people when you're self-employed and dictating your prices for your service is not like a product. Like a bag of coffee, you can kind of break down and say, this is how much the green coffee costs, this is my overheads, and this is a percentage of profit. Whereas when it's like charging for your time and your expertise, or sometimes just sheer craziness, like, you know, being outrageous enough to try something different, or encouraging people to take steps that they would necessarily feel a bit nervous to on their own.
Yeah.
Like, how do you put that in a figure, and how do you like present that to someone as valuable?
Yeah. How do you
often
quantify it?
as a woman, where our time is already undervalued,
Yeah.
it can be really difficult to kind of communicate that and be solid with it. So like a lot of times people say, oh, you're too expensive, or you charge how much? And I remember when I started out, there was someone who had just set up a cafe, and they were a bodyguard on their other job, and they asked me how much it would be for training.
Yeah.
And I gave them a price, and he was like, oh, I don't even charge that much, and I risk my life for like celebrities or whatever. I have to put myself on the line and I'm in danger. And I was kind of like, well, these are the prices I've chosen, or I've calculated that I need to survive.
Yep.
And so if you don't charge enough on your other thing, then you're devaluing yourself in that work.
Yeah,
so
of course.
Maybe you need to increase your prices that you're charging. Like, and it's that kind of awkward tassel.
It's not really comparable either, is it? Like, it's not really like you can compare those two things. Like, they're completely different.
It's like, you bloody should be charging more.
You
if
should,
you're risking your
of
life
course.
for someone.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't do that for however much he was charging.
No, and your services, like, it's not a necessity. Like, people they can get the price and be like, oh, actually, that's not really lining up with what I've got, what I can do at the moment, but thank you. They don't have to be like, make you feel undervalued for like, oh, you shouldn't be charging that much.
Yeah. And it's that constant battle, I think, with your pricing. It's like, how do you structure that? And I do feel like as women, we have to justify it more.
100%.
But that's not the question you asked me.
We're here for tangents. It's okay. This is a conversation.
So to go back to my experience, I think my experience generally on the whole hasn't been completely negative. Like, I'm still here doing it, but there has, like, especially now, I became a Muslim about 5 years ago, and I started wearing the hijab about 2 years ago. And then I feel like that's given me even more of a, people are very uncertain about me, but also it's for the general public, where people don't necessarily know who I am or know my experience. It's given another layer of like, she can't know what she's talking about.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And that's something, obviously, because if you only started wearing the scarf 2 years ago as well,
it's noticeable.
That's very noticeable for you to see. And what is that reaction sort of like from people? How do you notice it in them?
So it might be like, if I'm running a home barista course, people book on and then they come in and see that I'm the one teaching. It's kind of like a look of like, almost disappointment, in that it's like, oh, really? And then it's kind of I sense the assumption of, what have I just paid for, in that I already probably know more than her because I've watched so many videos on YouTube. And then it starts out with kind of asking questions that aren't really relevant, just to try and show they know more than me. You know, like talking about it's a very basic home barista class, and then straight away coming in with a complicated question about water.
Right. Okay.
And like, to kind of, I don't know, like, swing there to see who's got the biggest.
Yeah. And like checking that you know what you're talking about, you know? And like, that's not what you're paying someone. And
then I'm like, oh, honey, like, I know about water.
If you want to get onto that, let's go.
Let's open that conversation. So then it will kind of just proceed through the class. And then, funnily enough, by like the end of the class, they'll realize how much I know and how much they love the class. And then suddenly I've earned their respect. Sure. But it's frustrating when it's time and time and time again. Because by the end of it, I'm like, well, you didn't respect me at the start. I don't want your respect now. Yeah. Like, I shouldn't have to prove myself.
No,
because if it was, I hate to say it, like a white man that was running the course, that was maybe someone who looked like the people you've learnt from on YouTube. straight away,
Yeah.
you'd be engaged and you'd want to learn about the class, and you'd be like, oh, what can I get from this person? You wouldn't be like, oh, let me show them that I know more than them.
No, yeah. And I think I was just kind of mentally noting that in my head of that you said, you don't look like the people that they've watched on YouTube and have learned what they know from, which is kind of a problem in itself, because if we don't see a variety of people, in powerful, authoritative positions in the industry, then we kind of just are always going to associate that level of knowledge and people who really know what they're doing with that
coffee
gender.
bro mentality.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why you're doing this project.
Which is exactly why we're here
try
today.
And break down these stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
And be like, do you know what? There's a place for everybody in this.
We're just checking to see if it looks like it's not being picked up.
It's actually not being picked up.
That's
There's just
crazy.
the alarm that the roast is about to finish.
The roast is about to finish. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's nothing
No.
alarming there. It's okay.
No, we're good.
I was like, whoa, does that mean we need to evacuate? If people couldn't hear that, by the way, it's just a very, very loud alarm that went off. Yeah, kind of sounded like a
that
siren.
was my replication of it for you.
It was great.
Yeah. Accurate.
Very accurate. I hope it's okay to say this. I think you recently had quite a big company reach out to you.
Yes.
Are we okay to talk about that?
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, because that must be this crazy acknowledgement that actually, even just coming off the back of what we were just saying about maybe not being taken seriously sometimes.
Yeah.
And then you get approached by...
Yeah, Costa Foundation.
Right.
So is that, I think I was saying before, like, that imposter syndrome of like, oh my gosh, like, am I even good at this? Because it does... Like, these experiences, we laugh and joke about them, like, oh, how tough it is to be in the industry as like a woman, and like the experience of me wearing the scarf. But the reality is they do chip away at your confidence as well.
Yeah.
And it's like slowly you think, oh no, like, am I actually good at this? Or like, you post on Instagram, nobody likes it, and you think like, yeah, okay, like the work still comes in, but does anybody care? Like, am I even relevant anymore? What are people saying about me?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
And so it chips away at your confidence, and then you can just kind of feel like, oh, have I actually achieved anything, or where am I going?
And also, if you're getting this constant like having to prove yourself, as strong as anyone can be, like, it's still exhausting, you know what I mean? Like, if you're constantly like just having to deal with the same stuff of like, oh, here we go again, like someone who has paid me for this thing and they still think they know more than me. Like, let's not underappreciate the fact that is like takes its toll on you. So it's going to make you question like yourself. It's going to make you question, is this for me? Because it's a lot to take home at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. And it's just like repeating the same thing all the time, or constantly having to wear thick skin and just bash through it and be like, I'm going to push until they realize that I am a good trainer. Then recently Costa Foundation reached out to me and said that they were opening up or they had a school in Kent. There's a disabled school, SEN school, and they wanted to open up a roastery in the school, and they didn't know who to turn to ask to help set it up. And then they were like, could you do it? And I was like, how do you know me?
Well, I mean, they should, but like, I was also just going to ask, like, how did they find you?
And I think like, so one of the directors of Costa, he actually set up a roastery for himself a few years ago, Crib and Coffee. And before that, he was also the director of Starbucks. Okay. He's actually the one that came up with a few of the concepts that we know now, like, he was there when it rolled out putting your name on the cup.
Oh, okay. Sure.
And he reached out to me and said that he wanted to set up a roastery in COVID. One of the other lucky, don't know how he came across me. Right. And I remember looking at his LinkedIn profile, like, he wants to work with me. Ooh,
like,
okay. And so then from that work, then when he was working at Costa and they were looking for someone to set up the roastery for this school, they thought of me. And you're like, okay,
Wow.
this is the ego boost that I needed.
Yeah.
In that I'm doing the right thing. Like, my work is having impact. And that's like the ego side of it. There's the good impact that we have, which I'm sure we'll talk about on another question. But like, just for my own reassurance, it's like,
yeah, absolutely.
imposter syndrome score dropped 10% that day.
Yeah, and like so well deserved as well. I mean,
Thank
like
you.
obviously that's the opportunities like that only come your way if you've worked for them. It's the kind of recognition that you deserve.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think as well, like, people try and make out that this industry is very black and white, right? Like, and it's so not. It's very blurry. Like, even people might say things about chains or big, like, coffee conglomerates and whether they're actually positive in the industry. But then when you actually get to see the work that a lot of these big businesses are doing, like the fact that this SEN school has now a cafe and a roastery, and a lot of it is funded by people drinking vanilla flat whites or vanilla lattes from Costa Coffee. It's like nothing, like, everything is very complex in this industry, and we are all, like, in some way working towards the same goal in making the world better through coffee.
Yeah, it's still integral to our industry, and it's getting what they're doing. And sorry, is that happening? You're setting up the.
It's done.
I mean,
it's done.
Oh, it's done.
Sorry, it was done between
She's
us
done
talking before and this happening. Yeah, it's rolling out. Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
We've
that's
got
not
the
much time either. That's.
We've got the roaster in, grinder, packaging, like bag sealer, all of it.
That is breaking down barriers for people who, when accessibility is a huge issue. And, when massive corporations are putting in the work to bring those kind of pathways into the industry and give people the skills to be a part of our industry who probably aren't going to have that in the specialty world. Like, it's just not. And,
like, in general, like, there was an NHS report that said for people who are struggling with special educational needs or have disabilities, only something like 5.6% are actually in paid work across the UK.
Okay, that's
and
huge.
So that's another whole section that we could go on about.
Yeah.
But it's like the fact that work is being done to facilitate that.
Yeah.
And to encourage people who don't have it as easy as we do in life and have even more barriers than us, like, to help them overcome some of those obstacles and prepare them for the real world when they leave school. That's priceless.
Absolutely. Yeah. And congrats on
Thank you.
setting that up.
Yeah, 5 Acre Wood School. Check it out.
There we go. All the shout outs.
All the shout outs.
Yes, absolutely. If you don't mind, I would love to speak about public speaking.
Yes.
Because that's something that you've done quite a lot of in the coffee industry.
Yeah.
Is that something is it something that comes naturally to you? Is it something you had to push yourself to get into?
I think, if you can't already tell, I'm a waffler. I love to talk. And so I've never been, like, really intimidated by public speaking.
Yeah.
But I don't think it comes naturally to anybody. Like, you even if you try and wing a talk, you can tell if it's winged and not practiced.
Yes, so true.
And we've all been there as well. Public speaking, generally, I think I first got asked to do some public speaking when I was doing the roastery with Manumit, because it was a great story and it was one that was worth telling in the industry. So there was, like, a women's panel I was on, I think, first in Bristol Coffee Festival, and there was an expo that used to run I can't even remember what it's called now, but it's not a thing anymore. But I did like a keynote speech there about manually make coffee as well. And a lot of it was kind of like focused around either the rotary or similar topics like this, like struggling as a woman in the industry. Because even then, when I was running and I had 2 male co-directors, it was like trying to get people to talk to me instead of them was a big thing as well. And back then there was even less representation of women in the industry. So it was among the likes of Girls Who Grind and people like that. And then I think moving forward from there, a lot of the times with public speaking, I've put myself forward for it. If I like, either I've been asked or I've had something that I've wanted to talk about. And often these festivals, they actually want people to come forward and talk about it. And I think I said to you before that, like, someone said recently to me, like, oh, someone else was saying you're always on the stage talking at these panels, la 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 la. Why isn't someone else doing it? And I was kind of like, well, that's rude, first of all.
Extremely rude, actually.
Way to kick me down before I go on stage and talk about something.
This was before you went on stage.
Like 1 or 2 days before I was due to speak at an event. I think it was Manchester Coffee Festival. And so I was like, apologies if that just killed anyone's ears, the noise I just made.
No, absolutely not.
But,
it was needed from the expression of what's happened. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I thought, like, this is not a way that women should be lifting each other up. But
okay, so it was from a woman.
Yeah, it was also from a woman. I don't know who originally said it. I was just passed on that message from someone to someone.
Maybe not helpful to do anyway, though.
Again, it's better not to say anything. But it's like, do you know what? Some of the times they are looking for people, and if you're willing to do it, then it's like, why not? And even the most recent one at Glasgow Coffee Festival, it wasn't even planned in advance, but I happened to be in Glasgow and I reached out and I was like, oh, look, I would love to do this talk about Ugandan coffee. Do you have any slots left? And they did. And they were like, oh, please. And
which, by the way, if anyone is wanting to get into public speaking and like in the coffee industry, especially, you know, if you're thinking about it and you're thinking, oh, why are all the same people doing it all the time? Generally, coffee festivals have like bigger things to think about than like making their panels, unfortunately, making them diverse or with new voices or, you know, a wide range of voices, which is a problem. But like, that's the panel section is such a small part of what they do. If you want to be doing that kind of thing, actually, and I know this isn't as easy as just me saying like, oh, you should, or also just highlighting, like, encourage your pals or people that you respect and admire in the coffee industry to do that, to reach out. If you want to, and you reach out to one of these festivals and go, I really want to talk on this topic, I think most of the time they're probably going to be like, let me see where I can fit you in, because people aren't doing that. And normally, if festivals are looking to make their panels more diverse as they should be, they simply just don't really have the time to be like searching for people. Unfortunately, it's not like a job role within coffee festivals, like, sadly. So such a sad comment that someone said that.
I know. And I think the other thing that I would say, though, if you are wanting to get into doing that, or if you know one of your friends would be really good, like they've done something really cool or they're really passionate about a topic, encourage them to do it. But also, it's not as glamorous as it looks. Like, don't be afraid of failure, because do you know what? I have done a lot of talks at these events over the years, and yes, it looks great for my Instagram to say I've spoken at this thing, or it gives me something to post online and like remind people of my services. However, do you know how many talks I've done that only like 2 people have showed up? Like, you get the slots You might get
You don't see that in the pictures though, so it's fine.
You don't see that in the pictures, but you get the slots, and it might just be 1 or 2 people sat in the crowd, and that's fine. Like, what a great opportunity and experience. Like, if I did one talk and I didn't have anyone come to it, I would never do a talk again. Like, that, like, and if that was my cutoff to think, oh, I'm not very good at this, like, you use it as a learning experience and try and take as much experience as you can out of it. Get the pictures, get the, like, from that one person who was in the crowd, if they took pictures, grab them. If they have any feedback, grab them. Like, you have to be prepared to fall flat on your face and be okay with it. Just get up and laugh. Like, and have people around you that will laugh with you. Absolutely. And not be like, why the hell did you do that? You embarrass yourself. Be like, oh, shame. Like, that didn't work. Like, I did one talk, and I swear to you, the only people in the crowd was my husband and Jazz, you know, Witch Bitch Barista on Instagram. And she's a babe. Like, she showed up, and the talk was running late because of the lighting and the sound. And she waited around, and she sat in the front row and was, like, really keen listening in.
This is what we need.
And, like, and that was that. Okay,
and
cool.
also, if there is no one there, you know, like, it's actually it's sometimes a really good thing to just be able to practice your public speaking without any pressure.
Exactly. And it's not saying anything about you as a person. No. Like, and I think this is the other thing that maybe people don't talk about enough in the industry is you will fail. Do you know the amount of times I have flopped on my face? Oh, that one was new.
I think on there it did come up actually.
That one up.
So you heard that here.
Time out.
What? There's so many noises in here.
But yeah, I think that's the other thing is, like, I don't know if it's a general experience across other people but I have failed so many times. Like, even at coffee festivals, I've run workshops and I've brought everything along prepared for it, and then it's been fully booked on tickets and no one's come.
Wow. Yeah.
And you just have to be like, I tried. I'll try again.
Is there a way that you keep having that resilience, like to just keep going and being like, actually, I'm just going to keep going with this? Like, is there any tips and tricks you can give people?
I think there's like a quote that's like, if you knew you only had to fail 5 more times to be successful, like, how quickly would you try and fail those 5 times to bring you that success? And you know, like, those cringe quotes or like memes on Instagram where it's like somebody digging and then the person just gives up and they're like 1 dig away from hitting the gold.
I mean, I've never seen that, but that sounds beautiful.
I'll send it to you. But it's like that idea of, like, the more experience you get, the more closer you are to success, you know?
Absolutely.
And you never know what could be that one thing that makes you hit your target. Like, for me, going back to, like, the roastery before, is like, if I wasn't going to those events about human trafficking, I wouldn't have met Nick and Di, and then I wouldn't have been involved in that roastery.
Like, that one interaction, really, if that hadn't have happened, you know.
My whole life, who knows where I would be now.
Yeah.
Like, and so I think for people, it's like, just don't be afraid of failure. And have people around you that will laugh at your failure too. And I think it's so important to laugh at it and not be upset by it. Like, yeah, it is funny. Like, yeah, it is embarrassing, but it is funny.
It's
like,
fine. Yeah, absolutely.
The amount of times that you're just going to have to try and then be willing to correct your mistake afterwards if it doesn't go to plan.
Did you say cry or try?
Try.
Okay. I've done a bit of crying as well.
Although I do cry a lot. I do cry a lot. That's... I won't pretend about that. I
try and cry and then do it all over again.
Yeah. And just have that, like... I think I realised, like, nobody else is going to pick you back up. So you have to pick yourself up first. And then you attract people who kind of have that same attitude of, like, oh, no, shame, lol, next time.
Oh, no, absolutely. Completely agree. You have to... unfortunately, you just get used to something embarrassing is going to happen. And also, it probably whirls around in your head for like weeks or months, or, you know, might keep coming back round like it does in my head. But at the end of the day, like, how many times have you remembered someone else?
Literally.
Like, you know, it's absolutely fine. So, just one final question to ask, if
Please.
that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a big one, but how do you think we could be better nurturing a more welcoming and diverse coffee industry?
So, I think I've got like probably a lot of things to say about this. But firstly, is like just be nicer to each other. And again, encourage each other. When we see people doing good, just say like, oh, wow, I really like have enjoyed following you on Instagram. Or I heard about what you've been doing and da 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 da. Or even loads of people have spoken really nicely about you to me. Like, let's just say it to their face.
100%.
Because you never know when someone needs that encouragement.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like you say with Dan, like loads of people have said he's been a crucial part of their career, encouraging them, building them up. Like, and what a beautiful thing to say about someone, right?
100%.
And what an amazing legacy to have. And if we all tried to have that same legacy of like, my legacy was people really felt included. People really felt encouraged. Like, I die a happy girl.
Yeah,
like,
of course. Yeah, definitely.
That's like something that I would want to have. And I think just in general is like, yeah, just include people in your surroundings too. Like if you feel like someone is on the outskirts or is not coming along to events, or use your network to leverage other people. Like if someone needs help with something and you can't do it, just put someone else's name forward, introduce them to someone that can help. Like, and I think we were talking a little bit earlier about how often people might feel like they are not in the in crowd in the coffee industry.
Yeah.
And actually, like, I want to touch on that because, you know, before I became a Muslim, I was like, I used to love going out. I used to love going out drinking. Like,
Right.
and you know, at the coffee festivals and things like that, a lot of the networking is done over alcohol.
It rolls around drinking. Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
and that is like I made a lot of business deals in the pub or in a bar or in a club. Like, and I could list them all out.
Of course.
And actually, I found it really difficult to kind of navigate when I stopped drinking, because it was like a lot of the industry is focused about that. I always say coffee people love alcohol just as much, if not more, than they love coffee. So if you remove that from the from the conversation, I was like, where do I fit now?
Right. Absolutely.
And so for a while, I did feel like I wasn't in the in crowd because I couldn't go out drinking with all the people that I knew before because I didn't want to put myself in that situation.
Yeah.
But then equally, I didn't want to just be sat in my hotel room by myself when everyone else is having fun. As I've got older, I don't mind doing that because
it's quite nice after London Coffee Festival.
Are exhausting. But it's like, actually, I had to ask myself the question of like, do I not fit in the industry anymore? And then I realized the industry isn't just this one small group of people who go out after London Coffee Festival or who go to this party or go to this party or this pop-up. It's like the whole industry could not fit in that one room. Like there is billions of us worldwide who depend on coffee for our livelihood. Yeah. And actually, it's that like this clique, we've almost created it for ourselves. And sometimes the way we talk about it can enable that kind of psyche that is like, oh, I'm not in the cool crowd, therefore I'm not involved in the industry anymore. And actually there's millions of us and we all have a place, like we all have a role to play in this industry. And so it's kind of like find your place in the industry is sometimes like finding your people too, and realizing that it's okay not to be like featured on everybody's Instagram, it doesn't mean you're not part of the cool. But that's real, because sometimes I think I'll come back from an event and I think, oh, I didn't get tagged in many posts whilst I was away.
And like, what measure is that? You know,
And
it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter at all. And like, probably someone would have loved to have you on their Instagram, but it just wasn't the right moment. So
Yeah.
it
And
is
it's like,
weird.
I've had to kind of restructure in my head what even fitting in looks like for me.
Yeah, of course.
And be okay with that. And in doing so, I found like my group of people that that I know respect my values, respect me that I don't want to maybe hug people anymore, or respect me that I don't want to go out drinking and stay out and like till 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, that's not my life anymore. And like, I do feel welcome and included in the industry, in that group of people that I'm with. And so one part is like, who are we trying to impress? And then the second part is, who around you is there that you can include?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, just to say, I really don't want to go out drinking until I also, like, you know, for me, coffee festivals are stressful enough. I'm like, no, I'm not drinking around coffee festivals, because my anxiety when I'm drinking goes through the roof, and then the overwhelm of a coffee festival. So don't mix for me at all. And I know that now. I don't know how people do it. So we can be in each other's in crowd.
And do you know what? There's other parts of it that I wouldn't want to get involved in as well. Like
100%.
Al Grano at World of Coffee this year, they organised a cycle ride. And
Right, yeah.
like, people were going, and I know minor figures have done some cycles or runs or whatever. That for me,
Not for me.
I'm sorry, you're not catching me dead on a bicycle.
No.
I don't even know how to ride a bike.
Run clubs.
That-
No,
That
I'm not.
doesn't. But like, there is like, maybe we need more of those things where it's like people doing things together at these events or in the coffee circle.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we can have a karaoke club. I would
Connect.
love that. Like, let's
make
go
it
do
happen.
karaoke next time.
Please.
That- Like, that's nice, because it's like a cycling thing. It's like including people in a different way and bringing people together. That
a way
would be
that's-
friendly for Muslims if they were interested in an exercise, which is not me.
100%.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
like, that's a long ramble, and I know we've got a lot of work to do, including more people on YouTube videos that don't look like the typical background, having more diverse panels, inviting people in. And I think like mentoring is a really good one as well. Like, as we are getting into different positions in the industry, like, we should be making ourselves available and giving advice to people who are just coming into the industry and making things more accessible to them, and kind of guiding people in their careers, like, and helping them along their journeys.
It's so important.
Mhm.
Definitely. Like,
Yeah.
I think we can't take that for granted, how much that can help some people move along in their journeys. You know, like, we've kind of already talked about how much imposter syndrome is involved.
Yeah.
And like, just having someone go, actually, I think you're really good at this thing, and
Yeah.
I'd love to like help you along the way, is integral. Yeah.
And I think my last thing is, nothing is done in isolation either. So like, things like competing is never just one person competing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a whole team of people around them. And so I feel it's encouraging the people around us to get involved in stuff and being willing to get stuck into. Like, if you want to see your friend compete and they're nervous, be on their support team. Like, polish their glasses for them before they go on stage. Listen to their talk 25 times before it's polished. Like, there's a lot of grit that goes on behind the glory that we see. And so I think it's being able to be in the crap with people and the less glamorous side of things, to then celebrate with them when it does go well. And if they fail at competing, great, pick them up, get back on with it, make a plan for next year. Or if they don't want to do it again, cool, write a book about how funny it was in the process.
Absolutely. It's all part of the experience. 100%.
Yeah.
Esther, thank you so much for everything today. It's been an absolute pleasure.